This is Jay Swick from Absolute Sublime Reviews, and I'm here with Danielle Harris, the star of the new horror film Camp Dread.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. First off, let me say thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
Sure.
Could you tell us about Camp Dread, what the movie's about, and your role in it?
Well, let's see. I play the sheriff in the town, and our Eric Roberts, who was the director of Sleepaway Camp, has now come back and gathered a group of sort of juvenile delinquents, for the lack of a better word, even though they're not juveniles, and they have a choice to basically either go to jail, go to rehab, or go on a reality show. And when they get there, they think that it's sort of a rehabilitation center kind of thing, and they find that they've got a shot at winning $1 million. But they have to sort of eliminate each other, and by eliminate, I mean permanently. So you don't really know what's going on until the very end, and like most reality shows, there's nothing real about it.
All right. What inspires you to start acting?
What inspired me to start acting? I was a kid, so I started at a really young age and did commercials and that kind of stuff and beauty pageants. And I think I was just sort of like one of those kids that was very outgoing. And I talked my mom into getting me into it, and I started going on auditions and then started actually working. I think I'm inspired by the creative process as an adult to stay in it. That's for sure.
What do you attribute your long and successful career to?
I think fan base, actually. I think that I've been lucky enough to have fallen into doing the Halloween franchise at a really young age and sort of created this awesome community of like the best fans ever that have supported my career throughout the last 30 years, actually, almost. So I kind of contribute the continuing of it to the fans, for sure.
How did you like working with director Harrison Smith and the rest of the cast of Camp Dread?
I didn't have any scenes with anybody other than Eric Roberts. But I know, a couple of, Joey I know. And Felissa Rose is a very good friend of mine. So she's the one that brought me onto the project. And Harrison's wonderful. I didn't know him before the movie, but we talked quite a bit on the phone and told me his vision of the movie. And I heard about his other films, and they were well received, and it just seemed like a cool opportunity to get to work with Eric Roberts and Felissa, so I jumped on board.
Would you like to play more roles as the villain as opposed to the heroine or damsel in distress?
Usually the roles that I play, you go from damsel in distress to heroine. So, we call them the final girl. So I usually play those roles more often than not, which is great. But it's a lot of work to be number one on the call sheet. It's like you work every day, every scene, all day long, and it can be a bit taxing emotionally when you're a woman having to go through all this. It's only so much that you can take. I think so much torture and drama that you can take on a daily basis before you're like, oh my God, I would rather be doing the killing than being the one running for my life. So I think it's just a case by case basis.
And how do you feel about being called horror's reigning scream queen?
It's cool. I mean, it's sweet. Obviously, I didn't mean myself that. So that's awesome. I mean, I think that it's nice that I'm sort of the go-to, that when people are writing stuff or they're thinking about movies, that whether it be the victim or the heroine, they think of me for that. So I get a lot of pretty cool opportunities to do stuff, and I don't know how it ended up happening, but I guess people want to, like I said, my career really has stayed where it is because of the loyal fans that I have over the years, and I think that's a perfect example of sort of what I was talking about, that they would give me a title like that. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome. You recently worked with the Soska sisters on See No Evil 2. How was that experience? How was that experience and working with female directors as opposed to male?
It's all directors are just different, period, I think. Even if they're men, everyone's got a different personality, a different way of working with you. The twins, it definitely was cool to have chicks on set kind of giving you a more. It's interesting because it's not like they see things in a different way. There's like a beauty and a vulnerability and a sexuality to it that I think when you look at the film, I've only seen stills of the movie, but that's there, and I don't necessarily know if a male director was doing it if they would see it through the same eyes. So there's a different element that's brought to it, which I really like. It works for a lot of things. Some things it doesn't. Depend on the movie. And they brought it. They kicked ass, and it's nice to have talk to directors because someone was always available. Like one of them was always there. If there was going on, Jen would go to second unit, Sylvia was with us, or if it was vice versa. So you always had access. While one was problem solving and putting out fires, the other one was working with us actors. So and they would switch. They knew what their strengths were, and they focused on that. And they both did. They both have different strengths. So that was actually a pretty cool experience, and the movie kicked my ass. So that is something that I'm for sure looking forward to. I left that movie going like, it's pretty awesome to do studio movies, that's for sure. But I don't know if I could do every take of every scene in every shot of a movie again for a little while. Like I definitely needed like a good year break after that because like I said, they put me through hell. But that's good. That's why I do these. It's fun. Like once a year, it's fun.
How has the Halloween franchise affected your life and career?
Well, it's given me a career. So, and then in return, it has affected my life. I've been able to be an actor because of that franchise.
All right. How is it working with Rob Zombie?
Rob's great. He's great. I mean, I'm he's an artist. I love him as a musician and as a person, and I think he did a great job with Rob Zombie's Halloween. So he's awesome. I mean, I've been a fan of his movies for many years, so I was excited to work with him.
All right. And how do you like performing in horror movies compared to other genres?
Horror movies are harder, that's for sure. Other genres, it's almost like I can't believe I'm getting paid to do that work because it's so easy in comparison. When you're not covered in blood and screaming and crying and beat up with bruises all day long, you kind of feel like you're not earning your money. So it's when I do get an opportunity to do something that's not in the horror genre, it's definitely a vacation.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really consider the grueling toll it takes on your body playing the roles that you play.
Yeah, and if I have them for how many hours a day or how to do it, people just think that it's, that'll be fun to die. It's like you understand that I shot that scene for 3 days, for 16 hours a day, for the 3 minutes you saw on film. So I think if they knew that that's how long it took to do some of that stuff, they would not want to die on film, that's for sure.
All right, you've directed in the past. Do you have any plans to direct in the future?
Yeah, I'm just in the middle of I just optioned a script from a writer that I'm very fond of her work, so I just optioned her script, and I'm working with the producing team right now, and we're just getting ready to gear up for pre-production. We're just putting all the pieces together.
How is it working as a child actor compared to an adult in the industry, and what did you learn from acting so young?
I think when you're a kid, you don't really know what's going on. I think that it's just fun. I don't think that there's really like I'm an actor. When you're a child, you're just like, yay, I get to go do a movie. Yay, I get to go, to have on set. I get to play. I get to stay up late and, not go to school, have to do it in a trailer. And I think that when you're 10, you don't really know what's going on. I think you're just happy to be on the set doing something that adults do. And when you're an adult, obviously, it's the real deal. Game on. So there's definitely, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I have to work now. So it's definitely shifts at a certain point.
Do you have a favorite role you've performed or a favorite filming experience?
I think probably the most fun, it's a toss-up probably between The Last Boy Scout and Don't Tell Mom. Well, actually, I'm going to say I probably had the most fun doing Wish Upon a Star, which is a Disney movie that I actually did with Katherine Heigl. Either that or Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. You're just with friends and it's fun and, you get to goof off and you're a kid. And I think that's probably the most fun on set I had.
You actually mentioned The Last Boy Scout, which is my all-time favorite action movie. So I have to ask, how is it working with director Tony Scott and the rest of that amazing cast?
Yeah, amazing. Tony was one of my, if not favorite director of all time. So it was very, very sad when he passed. But he was wonderful and just an incredibly talented, just genius director, and a really, really kind man. So I enjoyed working with him. I'm glad I had the opportunity to do that.
You started a number of great horror films, and we mentioned a few of them coming up. Do you have any plans to star in any more horror films in the future?
Not right now. I'm just sort of, taking a little bit of a break to focus on directing, and if something comes my way as far as acting, then I'll, consider it. But I'm really focusing on directing, and if anything, I'm interested in sort of getting back into the TV world a little bit and taking a break from film stuff. But again, it's case by case basis. So if something comes down and I really like it, then I'll do it.
Okay. How do you like working the horror convention scene and the overall fan experience?
Like I said, my career is because of fans, so I enjoy being a part of that and meeting people and being accessible and having them get to know me as a person, not just someone they see on TV. So I like it. It could be a bit taxing after a while. So I found that, because remember, it's like I'm mixing in working as an actor in movies and then going to conventions on weekends to promote my own stuff, and or then do stuff like this where you have a movie coming out, or you're doing phoners and then you're traveling to film festivals to promote the movie and photo shoots and all of this stuff. So it can definitely be a bit overwhelming sometimes. But if I didn't go do that, then I wouldn't have the fans that I have. So I do, and I look forward to seeing my friends there too. Aside from the fans, it's all the same people that do them mostly. So it's nice that I get to go and sit in between Kane Hodder and Tony Todd. Like, those are my boys. So it's nice to get to go spend time with them.
What advice would you give aspiring actors?
It depends on how old they are. If they were really, if it was parents wanting to put their kids in it, I would say don't. Let them decide on their own when they know what it is. And I say, follow your dreams and whatever you want to do. But there's opportunities for you to make your own stuff with social media and the internet. You can make your own movies nowadays. And I think starting from there and going to school and really knowing what it takes, unfortunately, things like Us Weekly and, which I watch, and TMZ and all of these, magazines and TV shows that sort of glorify the celebrity, it's people forget how hard it is. So I think that as long as people that want to be actors are doing it because they understand what it is and they love to do it and they know how hard it is, then I say go for it. If they want to do it to be famous, then I say don't.
And you've played in a lot of great horror films. Do you have a favorite horror film that you haven't starred in?
Yes, the ones that I've been in are not in my list of favorites just as a person, just because I'm in them, so it makes it a little bit weird. But I would say, I'm obviously big fans of the old school original Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and also a big Gremlin fan and Piranha and Poltergeist and Exorcist, and I love Amityville Horror and Carrie and Christine, and I can go on and on with them. But obviously, you see a lot of the ones that I really like are the ones that I watched growing up that scared me as a kid.
And with you were in the Halloween remake of Rob Zombie's, how do you feel about this string of horror remakes lately?
I think, when somebody does it and it does really well, everybody jumps on board. Kind of like, how many paranormal activities or zombie shows are there, or there are vampire shows, or I think once somebody does something and people see that it works, that means that people want it, they want to watch it, and they'll keep doing it. So I think that there's some that are really good and some that are not good. I think it sort of depends on the movie.
Okay.
Great, last question.
Okay. If you could leave us with your overall thoughts on Camp Dread and why people should check it out.
Yeah, I think that it's a really good throwback to the movies that we grew up loving, but shown in a pretty hip contemporary way. And there's a lot of practical kills that are really fun, and the characters are fun to watch. And it's like one of those, sit on the couch and grab a six-pack and just enjoy the ride.
All right. Congratulations on your recent marriage, and thank you for taking your time, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this interview, and I hope everyone's doing well. Take care.